Okay, good morning. Thank you Rio, for inviting me to explain the Catalan strategy for dissemination of invoice. It's not only a public initiative, it's a private and public initiative. This is an initiative sponsored by both sectors and wants to provide traction on the adoption of electronic invoicing in Catalan. As you know very well, electronic invoicing is a good tool for improving efficiency, productivity, and competitiveness in all kinds of institutions. It's said that in Catalonia every year about 1,000 million invoices are issued. You mean savings, big savings, using electronic invoice. Only in public sector, the savings will represent tens or hundreds of millions of euros. Crisis is a good opportunity for electronic invoice. The eFacturesCat initiative collects the experience of previous initiatives. In Spain, from 2003, there are diverse initiatives trying to push electronic invoice. This new initiative, provides new tools to facilitate the invoicing use by Catalan companies. Since one of the promoters of this initiative is the Generalitat of Catalonia, let me explain some figures out of Catalonia and the Generalitat. The population of Catalonia is about 7.5 million people. It is greater than 12 European members of the Union. Our area is 32,000 square kilometers. The gross domestic product is greater than 200 billion euros, greater than 13 members of the European Union. And we have around 600,000 companies, the fifth part of Spain. It's a medium player in Europe. Our government is the Generalitat of Catalonia, our hoster, where we are now. This is GI, the organism that provides ICT services in the Generalitat of Catalonia. The other sponsor is PMEC, which represents the private sector in this initiative. PMEC represents the employers of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, and also the self-employed workers of Catalonia. One of its goals is the promotion among its members the use of technology to make companies more productive and competitive. In last years, PMEC is acting as registration authority of one of the Spanish more important certificate service providers, called Firma Profesional. PMEC is partner of Firma Profesional. Thus, PMEC issues digital certificates for electronic signatures for business. Also, in the last years, PMEC is offering e-invoicing services to its members through its own platform named eFacturesCat. Okay, but what are the main goals of this initiative? We detected in past initiatives that one of the biggest stoppers to the widespread adoption of electronic invoicing was that ISVs were not willing to invest in it. Maybe for the lack of stability. Maybe this is one of the causes. If ERPs are not adapted to electronic invoice, this simply does not exist. Therefore, the first two aims are oriented to qualify in invoicing reference ISVs without investment by them. For this, eFacturesCat provides open source software component that facilitates the integration between the ERP and the electronic invoicing services. The next two objectives are oriented to achieve the reference Catalan. The next two objectives are oriented to achieve that reference Catalan companies mean to issue widely electronic invoice and act as a tractor in those sectors. We have set reasonable expectations, 50 companies and 200,000 invoices per year converts from paper to electronic. Finally, and together with Consorcio with Michael Starts, the initiative also facilitates compliance with the fourth additional provision of Law 10 about promoting invoicing. What about that? Let me read what fourth additional provision of Law 10 tells. The provision tells, the title is Promoting Invoicing, and tells, in order to give full effect to the determinations of Law 29 about use of electronic means in the public sector in Catalonia, public sector entities of Catalonia shall promote the use of electronic invoicing as execution conditions for public sector companies. Maybe it's not clear. Promoting sounds optional. Execution conditions sound mandatory. My interpretation: a provision cannot be optional and mandatory at once. Saying that the electronic invoice will be a condition of execution is that it will be mandatory. Certainly, a good way of promoting its use. To be clear, for me, electronic invoicing in public sector of Catalonia is mandatory. It's mandatory. To fulfill these goals, we've initiated a pilot. We are working with reference ISVs so that their solutions will issue electronic invoice as a standard feature. Each of these ISVs may achieve between 6 and 8 qualified customers who issue more than 5,000 invoices per year, and some of them must be suppliers of the public sector. In this pilot also participate eFacturesCat as an invoicing platform and some other services and some experts like Uriol, me, and others. Regarding the open source component to issue electronic invoices, this is an API for the ISVs to integrate directly the electronic invoicing. As I mentioned before about electronic invoicing, ISVs have had a more reactive than proactive attitude. Each of them has dealt with electronic invoicing in a different way. Some don't generate XML. Some only generate some formats or versions of XML invoices. Some don't sign invoices. Some don't deliver invoices. Some only deliver invoices through some invoicing services. So one of the goals of this API component is to harmonize the model to facilitate integration between the ERP and the invoicing services. This is why we are developing this API, a fully functional API which will make a full circuit of electronic invoicing in a specific model. In this specific model, we use the first module, generate invoice, the work built by SameBII or other projects like eInvoices. We use the semantic defined by BII. The second module transforms this semantic invoice into a specific XML format. As you know, in Spain, we have our own format called Facturae. We are in this specific model, we use Facturae 2.2. The third module is about signing invoice with one of the models defined by Facturae policy. Simply by Chaves, one model of Chaves. And finally, the invoice is delivered to customer via one service. In this case, with PYME Factura service. However, this is a specific model. However, the API is extensible to other formats, to other invoice formats like UVL or CAI, and other invoicing service like email to deliver service, or B2B router, URL, or why not PEPPOL lightweight profile access, different services. Some screenshots of the tools we are using to manage the project. We have a Forge with a repository of source, the project plans and specification documents. So we have a website used by all the participants of the initiative. Well, what do we want to get with these pilots? Two use cases. The first one, an exclusive private use case, where one invoice is issued by a supplier through the ERP using the API we facilitate them, and deliver it to its customers via PYME Factura service. The other case is a public use case in collaboration with Consortium, with the FAC, that was explained before by Miquel, where customers, final customers, are entities of public sector. Finally, the diffusion, dissemination. We are doing three kinds of actions to spread the initiative. First of all, the recruitment campaign, to achieve the number of ISVs and customers defined in the goals. Other actions are workshops oriented to qualify ISVs and customers in electronic invoice, and qualified in the use of the tools we provide by the initiative. And finally, there are actions to check the progress, the satisfactory progress of the initiative. And that's all. Thank you for your attention. If you want more information, follow us in the social networks. It's very good.